Different parts of body emit biophotons with intensities ranging from 10 to 100 counts per second. So every part of the body is emitting biophotons. The count could be different, and range from 10 to 100 counts per second. A rough estimate shows that even a few photons can provide the activation energy to all the biochemical reactions which take place in a cell. So you don't require very many biophotons, even a few photons can do this purpose, can serve this purpose, that can trigger all the chemical reactions, millions of them taking place in a cell per second. So you don't require a very large number of biophotons for this kind of activity. Thus, one has to stress that, number one, it is impossible that thermal photons may trigger the biochemical reactions in a living system. That's number one. So scientists are pretty sure about it, that the thermal photons cannot trigger chemical reactions. So it has to be biophoton, which is produced only in the body, can trigger the chemical reactions. And number two, theoretically only one photon per cell could be sufficient for activating 10 raised to power 9 reactions per second, provided that it originates from a coherent photon field. This is another point, important point, that even one photon can activate as many as 10 raised to power 9 reactions per second, a billion reactions per second, So how powerful is biophoton? Look here. And provided there is a condition attached to this, that it originates from a coherent photon field. So if the photon is produced by a coherent field, then it has that capability of activating so many reactions per second in a cell. An increasing number of observations from different laboratories all over the world suggest that biophotons are emitted from a coherent photon field within the living system. So there is very extensive research being carried out on biophoton all over the world. There are very many laboratories doing it, and all of them are of the view that the biophotons are emitted from some coherent field within the living system. So within our body we have a coherent field from which the biophotons are being produced. What are the consequences of coherence? If this field is coherent, what does it mean? Number one, it results in properties that are characteristics of biological systems. And what are the properties of biological systems? Number one, high efficiency of energy transfer and transformation, which often approaches 100%. It's a very big thing, That is, all the processes which are taking place in our body, they have a very, very high efficiency. That is, no energy being wasted, Almost the entire amount of energy is being utilized in these processes. 100%, efficiency reaches 100%, And in natural processes, never so. Efficiency does not normally go beyond 60% or so. Whereas in the biological processes taking place in our body, the efficiency is almost 100%. And number two, the ability of communication at all levels within cells, between cells. Okay, so the communication is very important part of our existence. All cells are communicating with each other every time, all the time. And that is how they coordinate the activities and they maintain the body system. So the communication is a very important part. And the scientists think that these biophotons provide this communication at all levels within the cell. Even in a cell, the different parts of the cell had to coordinate, and therefore they had to communicate information among them. And between cells, we have trillions of cells in our body. All cells are communicating with all other cells. Look here, the network of communication we have, And the scientists think that this is possible because of biophotons. And number 3, between organisms capable of resonating at the same frequency. This kind of a communication is also possible between animals, but provided they resonate at the same frequency, they communicate at the same frequency. For example, human beings, one human being can communicate with another human being and so on. We communicate at the same frequency. A human being will not be able to communicate with an animal or an insect, because they communicate at the different frequencies. The biophoton emission is indicative of an endogenous innate electromagnetic field pervading the entire organism. So, there is an electric field, which extends the entire body, which may act as both sender and receiver of biophotons. So, this field, is a sender of biophotons, that is, it produces biophotons, and it also receives biophotons. And these biophotons are electromagnetic bioinformation. Okay, so when the biophotons are going from one cell to another cell, say for example, they carry information with them, the electromagnetic bioinformation. So this is bioinformation carried in an electromagnetic form, and this regulates the life process. According to modern biophoton theory, DNA is the source, and the biophoton emission originates from the coherent field within this source. So there are a large number of indications in different laboratories of the world that these biophotons are being generated from a source in the DNA. That is very important, and this source is a coherent field within this source. So in the DNA there is a coherent field, that is producing biophotons. This is the indication, although the scientists are not able to confirm this because this is taking place at such a subtle level that it's very difficult to measure in the laboratory this kind of phenomena.